Okay, you know actually what's funny? I thought I'm in the right mood for a Sunday video. Would be nice if that would be the case, until I realized it actually is Sunday, which means this is my one and only take. I decided that for my own, to keep the possible frustration down to a minimum. And also to keep the intro short, let's just cut it off and talk about now the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5. And before some say, why not the Pro and such? This is actually the confusing thing. In India, the Note 5 Pro is what we pretty much in China know from the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. And the Note 5 without the Pro is actually the better phone with the Snapdragon 636. So this is the better version because I've already reviewed this one. But I also have to get into the pricing right now because it seems that there are 3 versions with the same SoC but to completely different RAM configurations. So I'm just going from those numbers that I have from Trading Shenzhen where I got this from. 197 euros for the 3GB, 32GB version, which I would not recommend. Then for 227, the 4GB, 64GB version. That's what I think is the sweet spot. And then 277 for the 6GB, 64GB version, which is the one I have here. If you don't need the 2GB RAM extra, I don't think it's necessary, then go for this one. Which actually leads me to the next thing. The kind of direct competitor, because this in Europe will be also 280 and this is 280. Of course, import taxes and such will come along, but let's compare them because quite similar. Okay, we have a 5.5 inch display here with 16:9 still, and here 6 inches with 2:1. And that's why obviously the Note, as you can see, is taller, but in terms of width pretty similar, since I always say 5.5 inches is a 6 inches as with 2:1. But yeah, that one will come with the Zeiss lens. This one comes with a noticeably improved lens over the Redmi 5 Plus. I'm going into that later. But since this is just the preview, I don't want to get too much into anything because the design is pretty much exactly the same as on the Redmi 5 Plus, besides of course the camera hump and such. But I think the black one looks so much nicer. Fingerprint reader is still very nice. So all is good here. Let's get into the display. The only thing that I want to mention here is actually that I think this display seems to have a little bit of an issue with kind of motion blur, because if we, for example, go into an app, and I don't think you will see this actually. No, I don't think so, because there is a motion blur. I did not notice that on the Redmi 5 Plus, but the display otherwise is okay. In some situations, I have to say it looks like it's a little bit oversaturated, not oversaturated, but as it's nicely saturated because I'm using the extended saturation. But then sometimes some colors seem flat and seem off. That's the only thing. Speaker, just to cover that one real quick, I think it's louder than on the Redmi 5 Plus, if I'm not wrong, but it might be just the same. But it's quite loud, sounds okay, absolutely. Now performance, this is using the Snapdragon 636, and I have to get into one thing. Apps launch quite quick, so no problem here. It feels a little bit faster, as you can maybe see. Of course, some of those already were preloaded, but my first experience was totally bad. I had a lot of smaller stutters. It didn't run smooth at all. When it did run. But I had so many weird occasions where things just did not work out at all. Then I flashed to a different ROM, to the Chinese developer ROM. Maybe it was that, or I just had to leave the device a little bit longer to sync up maybe stuff in the background. Because now, as you can see, throughout the whole time, it looks absolutely nice. And it is better than the 636. It's not by miles or something like that. And it's mostly actually the motion blur that makes it feel slower than it is, because it just doesn't always feel like the display is running with 60 Hz. But other than that, performance is really nice, especially with the 36GB RAM version. You can switch quickly between the apps. Battery life. I'm pretty sure the charging time will still be the same, because what I didn't really talk about is yet still USB Type-C. So I would expect, I think, 2 hours and 40 or something like that, 2.5 hours. But this is just a preview, so I'm not quite sure about the battery life, even though I can already tell you that it looks to be pretty much on par with the Redmi 5 Plus. So yesterday I would have been able to get like 10 hours on Wi-Fi, and I expect pretty much the same. So 7 hours on mobile data, roughly that, and maybe 10, 11 hours on Wi-Fi. That's pretty much what I say. I'm not going into the software. This is the Chinese developer ROM. It came with the Chinese stable ROM, but there is already a global ROM available, but you have to unlock for that. But I guess by the time you buy it, actually, most probably with Band 20, which this one also doesn't have, the global will be installed, pretty much, I'm sure of that. But this is not the Band 20 version. I'm pretty sure there will be coming one. 99% confident in one, because this will be their main seller this year. And they just have to do it if they want to internationally compete. Now, let's talk about the cam, because I'm not going into the video software or the camera software, because just check the pictures, and this is by random, and I just want to show some shots. Low light actually seems to be improved because it seems nicer. It picks up more light than, for example, outside. So, not the best weather yet. I will try to get it once for the proper review done as well. But I think one thing that especially impressed me actually, was the autofocus. It worked so reliable, so well. Pictures look nice, and it is definitely an improvement over the Redmi 5 Plus. As you can see, that even HDR, this is HDR now, usually gets the things brighter, but yeah, totally fine. With better weather, it will be even nicer. But as you can see here, lots of nice details, and I had no misfires. Bokeh mode, yeah. And before you're wondering about the different formats, I will also make all pictures for the review in 4x3 because I used it for something else. But I like the pictures. Front-facing camera is super, super nice for this price range, for a mid-ranger. Absolutely good. Even low light feels good. One thing that is a positive, and I'm just really quickly going through that because to keep it short, bokeh mode works fine. So that's it. They have improved. What they did improve, especially something that was always an issue in the past, whenever you got into low light with video, it broke down in terms of frame rate. Not on the front, not on the back camera this time, so they fixed that. I'm not going into the video, I will show this for a review, but it seems nice. It seems so that there is no 4K anymore. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe the global version has that because the chip definitely can do it. I'm definitely going to recheck that maybe with a different app because I think that might be an issue for some. But let's actually already sum it up after like 6 minutes. This phone, now $230 with postable taxes and import costs and such, I can already absolutely recommend because it is easily on par with the Nokia 6. I would actually prefer it because I already preferred the Redmi 5 Plus over the Nokia. That's just personally me because I just love the hardware way more. It feels way better in hand. Yes, it's bigger, but all those round curves and the build quality is also superb and everything is great for this price. But this is just has been released. So price will go down because the Redmi 5 Plus, when I reviewed it, was like $230 and it's now already down to $130 or something like that. So this one will get, with this 4GB, 64GB version, down to $150 quite soon. I'm pretty sure of that. And if you want the higher end version, I would say $160 will be a thing, not that far off. So early on impressions after one complete day of use, they nailed it once again because the 5 Plus was a super solid base. They put up on that, improved everything. Now it performs even better. Now finally also on mine, I had some real bad issues at the beginning. It works better. There is a 6GB version. The camera has improved. How much I have to check. I have to check my old pictures. But yeah, this will be the main seller. Because this now is the proper update over the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. What the 5 Plus wasn't. Because the 5 Plus was more like a sidestep. Different design. 2x1 instead of 16x9 and so on. And that will also be their main seller. But for everyone who wants to pay a little bit more and get something overall nicer, especially something a little bit more future-proof, do the better SoC, better camera and so on, I guess this is the one to go. And that's where I'm gonna cut it off. Wish you a nice Sunday. Happy Easter. Bye.